anything that y'all want to ask us about, or just really anything in relation to the graduate school or AGS. And then we'll be talking about the updated bylaw and vote on that. And then we will be talking about the AGS executive board election. So we'll be going over the election process, how to apply for it, and the benefits of becoming one of the officers. We'll also be talking about the positions that are available to apply for. And then we'll have the workshop, and then we'll have a discussion, the discussion for the day. So first, coming up on April the 8th, we're having a tabling, and then we'll be having a local fundraiser raffle, which starts on that date. On April 18th, we'll be doing a professional development through LinkedIn. So this is, I know from last semester, a lot of people have requested a professional development workshop in relation to LinkedIn and the benefits of using LinkedIn. So we'll be having that on the 18th, and then we'll be going over the elections for new officers. So if anyone wants to apply, just we'll give you the information on that, and just go ahead and send in your application for that. And then we'll be talking about the graduation, or we'll be having the graduation stroll pickup. We're not sure on the date right now, but we will make sure to inform everyone on when and where to pick those up at. So does anyone have any questions or concerns for us, just about the positions that are available, or just anything in relation to the graduate school?
I have no questions. Does anyone have any questions for us?
We can figure it out.
Okay, and then we'll be doing the voting for the new bylaw edition. So this is the new bylaw edition. Emily, do you want to maybe go over this at the end of the presentation after everyone has kind of trickled in, and just so we'll get more of a input and feedback for that?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, regarding the AGS Executive Board position, this is for anyone who's interested in becoming one of the board member in the AGS. So the 4 positions are the President, Vice President, Public Relations Officer, and Vice President of Administration and Finance. If you guys would love to have more information, there will be a full description of each position in the AGS Constitution, located on the AGS website that you can find by just Googling the AGS in Valdosta State University website. So there are a few steps, very simple, that you can do to apply. Elections will take place on April 18th by 6 p.m. virtually. What you need to do is filling out the Qualtrics form by scanning this code right here, or you can contact one of us so that we can send you an application form. In that application form, there will be positions that you would like to apply for. So choose one position and then indicate 3 goals that you would like to achieve during your term for that position. There's so many benefits of being an officer. Being an officer myself here at AGS for the past 2 semesters, I have learned a lot. But other than that, the most important thing is that you will gain so many professional skills while working in a team. And you can also create educational workshop based on professional development and develop an inclusive and supporting community for the students. And if you are a graduate assistant, or if you are employed by VSU or other USG organization, there will be a $500 per semester stipend. If anyone has any question, feel free to contact one of us about more information about these positions.
So we are about to have Bella talk more about her background before she begins her presentation.
Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, hi, I'm Bella. I'm the Vice President of Finance for this lovely organization. My background is I'm getting my master's in criminal justice and psych, and I want to go get my doctorate and, figure out all about serial killers and psychopaths. So, we figured why not tie this into this presentation. So let's begin. Yeah, so start off with psychopathy. What is it? It's a disorder marked by deficient emotional responses, such as lack of empathy, poor behavioral controls, poor morals, lack of conscience, guilt, remorse, which usually results in deviance and criminal behavior. There is also no cure for psychopathy. It is chronic antisocial behavior. So let me start off with saying not all psychopaths are serial killers. There are a lot of successful psychopaths out there with high esteem, successful jobs, such as doctor, lawyers, that kind of thing, because they're able to handle that stress and be fine. But all serial killers are psychopaths. So what a serial killer is a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic predictable behavioral pattern. And it shows you what a normal brain is and a psychopathic brain is and how it lacks empathy in the amygdala. So one of the most famous or infamous serial killers is Ted Bundy. He was a very cunning and charming psychopath who basically kidnapped and raped and murdered more than 30 women, possibly more than that. They're still kind of figuring it out. So he would typically approach his victims in public places. He would feign injury or disability, a car broke down kind of thing, before he was able to overpower and assault them in these locations. So for his personality, he was characterized as cool, but also an unemotional demeanor, with a very keen intellect and charming personality, which makes him a very effective predator. But he did lack interpersonal empathy and was unable to feel pity, remorse, or guilt. He didn't value human life or care about the consequences of his crime. He was very indifferent and very brutal in the way that he murdered. He enjoyed having this power and control over his victims, as most psychopaths do. Like I said, he didn't feel any guilt. He enjoyed it. So, the combination of his charm, good looks, being smart, kind of made him a very famous serial killer. His career. He actually attended law school and volunteered with several political campaigns. I also found it very interesting that he also worked as a volunteer at a suicide hotline in 1971, which he consulted people in the crisis over the phone. I thought that was very interesting. Another infamous serial killer. So he was a serial killer as well as a sex offender. This is Jeffrey Dahmer. He was accused of murdering of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Many of his murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts. So he was diagnosed, like most psychopaths and serial killers, with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and a psychotic disorder. But he was also found legally sane at trial. And then I explain it that borderline personality disorder is a mental health disorder that impacts the way that you think and feel about yourself and others, which causes problems functioning, of course, in everyday life, includes self-image issues, difficulty managing emotions and behavior, which can create unstable and relationships. Schizotypical personality disorder is also a mental disorder characterized by severe anxiety, thought disorder, and paranoid ideation. Usually they feel very extreme discomfort with maintaining close relationships with people, and they avoid forming them. Lastly, psychotic disorders are severe mental disorders that cause abnormal thinking and perceptions. For his career, Jeffrey Dahmer went down. He had a lot of career paths in the years. He was often fired or quit before he was charged with 15 counts of murder in 1991. He enlisted in the Army, but was discharged in 1981 due to a drinking problem. He also enrolled in college, but he only lasted a couple months before he quit. And then in 1985, Dahmer took a job working the late night shift at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory before he was found guilty of murder. Aileen Wuornos, basically one of the only few women serial killers. There are a lot of women psychopaths, but very few serial killers. She was accused of killing 7 men. She was a prostitute in Florida. She claimed that her clients had either raped or attempted to rape her. And then she claimed that all of her homicides were committed in self-defense. She was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. She exhibited signs of depression, when she was interviewed and given these tests to see if she was sane at trial. She experienced a lot of trauma in her past. Examples include abandonment, rejection, anxiety, impulsivity, and hostility. So like I said, they could be attributed to the trauma of her early childhood. She was sexually assaulted at the age of 8 by a friend of her father, and her father did not believe her allegations. For her career, like I said, she was sexually abused and thrown out of her home as a teen. She lived her life in foster care and through the system. She made a living as a sex worker on Florida highways, waiting for men to pay for her and that kind of living. So she was, like I said, she was through foster care. Wuornos decided on a vagabond existence as an adult, hitchhiking and engaging in sex work to survive. And that's all I have to you on psychopaths and serial killers. Thank you for listening.
Oh, Bella, that was a really great couple of slides that you did examining those 3 infamous serial killers. The last one did make me a bit sad, but crazy that all of them have careers, and we may have been working with potential psychopathy serial killers.
Absolutely. It's crazy how somebody can turn like that.
Okay, so we're going to transition and talk more about personal organizational fit and acing the behavioral interview. So let's get this interview prep started. Okay, so people may wonder what person organizational fit. It is the compatibility between an employee and an organization. Having that congruency between the candidate and the organization helps create a culture that aligns well with the organizational goals. It's a common belief that good PO fit decreases turnover rates and increases job performance. So in the selections, assessing the interviewee, typically recruiters tend to assess person organizational fit with these following questions. How do you feel about being friends with coworkers? What must be present in your work environment for you to be successful and feel happy? What is your preferred work style? Now, these tend to assess different types of whether or not you're a team player, if you can collaborate well, if you're innovative, And the recruiter will, based on that gut feeling that they have, to decide whether or not you measure up with their culture well. They also evaluate your KSAOs, so through resume screenings, interviews, and assessments to evaluate skills. So that knowledge, skills, and abilities is taken care of with your job fit. But to really understand those other factors that will make them decide whether or not to hire you will be based on whether or not you fit well with the culture. So what I like, how to really explain the benefit of person organizational fit is from this LinkedIn post. She explains it well about how when you go through the interviews, I wouldn't take it as personal. It's just trying to find your exact fit with a good organization that you fit well with. So just because you get a rejection, don't take it so hard. And especially if you just weren't selected right off the bat for an interview, just continue to keep going and understand that you will find your perfect fit somewhere. It is just not with that company that you were applying to. Which is okay. You will build that resilience and continue forward. Okay, so organizational culture is the collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the actions of all team members. Therefore, the people in the organization and the policies highly influence the culture. So the people make up the organization, and the people control the type of culture that they live in while they work at the company. So there's different types of organizational cultures. As I was thinking about which companies that I want to apply to, I looked at their mission and value statements, and I talked to different people who work in those organizations. And I kind of started to look at different types of cultures and realize that some may actually have two types combined if it's a really big company. So definitely look here and figure out which cultures that you would thrive in, and start to look at different companies that are your dream companies, and really look into whether or not their culture aligns with your personality and what you value. Because when there's a great blend, you're most likely to have a higher job satisfaction, and the likelihood of you turning over and leaving is decreased. So, which type of culture would you align with best? And I know that there was like a lot of words on that slide with different types of culture. So before we answer this, you guys can look at this again and put in the chat which type of culture you're interested in. Okay, so I realize that I don't have access to the chat, but if anyone wants to speak up and let us know which type of organization you're more likely to go towards, please do. In the meantime, I'm kind of interested in this. It's one of these cultures that talks about the purpose, and it's like, I like results organizational culture a lot. I also like the authority organizational culture. I like being around confident people who show great leadership. I enjoy competing, I guess. I don't need to be the best of the best. I just like to work with the best. So it's, in a sense, it's like competitive because we know who we are. So we want to strive to be the best, but we're not actually going at each other. We're wanting to actually build the organization. So we're like competitive, but not against each other. We're just wanting to be the best person for ourselves and not as comparative to others. So does anyone have anything to add to which culture that you're interested in?
think I like the learning organizational culture.
Okay, right. That seems very wholesome to be a part of the learning organization. Like, there's another one that's like the safety organizational culture. And so it's like you can tell which one is most likely not as toxic as the other. So definitely the learning organizational culture is very wholesome. Okay, so we'll talk more about the behavioral assessment interview tips. And these will help you understand, kind of prepare you to how you should frame your answers. And especially remember that type of culture that you're wanting to be hired into, and try to reflect that in your answer. One way to first create your own type of your answer to the interview question, so you can actually have some structure to your response, is following the STARS method, which is talking about the situation, the task that it took, that you needed to actually address the situation, the action, how it was executed, and the results. So by understanding how the STARS method works and applying that and practicing with different types of questions to help prepare you for interviews will help. You kind of will start to have this naturally occur when you're explaining a situation or answering a question. And this will allow you to add that structure for the recruiter and the interviewees to understand what you're saying and not be confused if you start to ramble. So a question that can actually show some type of person organizational fit would be, describe a time when you disagreed with a team member. How did you resolve the problem? So this is a typical question that you may get, just because most companies are looking for someone who would be able to address conflict, able to do this in a way that does not hamper the relationship of another coworker, and also able to make good judgments, especially when you get in a disagreement. You tend to be more emotional driven. So do you actually go what your emotions like? Do you have that internal control with your emotions? Or do you react immediately to your emotions and those impulses? So your answer, some general things that you should focus on is focus on the experience that actually has a positive outcome. You want to show yourself in the best light in an interview. So just reflecting on a positive outcome will showcase that. Definitely avoid overly criticizing your past team member. If you focus all the blame on that coworker, the interviewer is probably going to think, do I really want to work with someone who is trash talking someone, because they may do that with me in a future situation. Also, the results of the disagreement, you want it to be impactful to the organization in a positive way. You want to show that you were able to address the situation, you were able to take action, you were able to maintain this relationship, and it impacted the organization in a positive way because of how you went about this and solved it with your coworker. So by doing this, you're able to incorporate some things for the manager to think that you're a great addition to the team. You do not talk trash about your past team members, and you created a positive impact at the old company, which means you're more than likely going to create positive impact to their company as well. So right there, you're able to showcase that you're a great team player by how you're framing your answer. So another question would be, tell me about a time when you disagreed with a supervisor. Just like before, you're wanting to focus on an experience with a positive outcome. You do not want to focus primarily on the conflict to the interviewer, because what they're looking for is how you went about explaining how you actually solve the situation, not necessarily the ginormous situation that occurred. So you took like a minute or two to explain the situation. They don't really care about all those tiny little details. They just want to see how you went about actually solving the problem. Also, focus on how you and the supervisor talked through the situation. So you're wanting to talk about how you disagreed with your supervisor and how you actually went about it, and speak in a way that shows, okay, this person is able to handle conflict well, and they feel comfortable enough to actually talk to their supervisor. Because what the hiring manager will be thinking is that they have the soft skills necessary that are needed to manage conflict, especially when they're thinking about, okay, can this person be promotable? And if we're promoting this person in the future, do they already have those soft skills to manage conflict and to actually challenge certain situations for the betterment of the company? It shows that you're comfortable with speaking to the supervisor about other potential issues, whether minor or small. And you're able to showcase that you're a team player because you make it a psychologically safe environment to actually speak about things and resolve a disagreement. So we're winding down. We are still going to talk about that bylaw vote. So before we begin the discussion of the day, I want to go back to that slide. Please feel free to scan this QR code to be added to the AGS GroupMe. Christy will be sending out our recording of this workshop, as well as the LinkedIn code, or not the LinkedIn code, but the GroupMe link. And you'll be able to add yourself to the GroupMe like that to stay in the loop with us and to talk about other topics related to graduate school, and if you have any questions or wanting to have that sense of belonging in graduate school. So I'm going to go back to that slide, and Sarah will start the vote. Seth?
Yes, so this is a new bylaw that's been added for the positions, for the executive positions of AGS. And so it's just addressing the stipend for officers, which is offered graduate school of $2,000 for fall and spring semesters based on whether the funds are available. The stipend division is to be divided equally among officers. To receive the stipend, the student must be a graduate assistant or otherwise employed by VSU or other USG institution. The graduate school will need to be informed of the recipient's amount agreed upon and any changes of officer positions by the second month of the incoming semester. So this is for knowledge of people that are wanting to run for an executive position. So if you could just comment in the chat of yes or no of whether or not you agree with this or understand this bylaw.
Sarah, I vote yes. I just can't comment because I'm presenting right now.
Okay.
I put it in the response. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome.
So we have 2 yeses so far.
Okay, I think we're confirmed.
Okay, awesome.
Easy.
Okay, so thank you guys for participating in that vote. And now we will do the discussion of the day. So Emily, what made you interested in learning more about serial killers or about preparing for interviews?
Well, I lived in Salt Lake City, and I went to the school where Ted Bundy went to, so I was hearing stuff about him a lot.
So that's very cool. Do we know if that serial killer had any children? Because he may have went to school with one of his relatives.
Well,
He didn't have any children from what I know, but I know that he dated a woman who had a child, but it wasn't his.
I think he had a child in Florida prison, but I don't know.
Did he?
hmm
Very cool. And Lisa, thank you for joining us. We're currently wrapping up the discussion for the day. We're
He
going
didn't. Oh, sorry.
We're going to send out the recording of this tomorrow. So if you want to look at what we've went over, we'll be able to send that recording for each review. And if you want to, you can participate in this discussion. Isabella, would you like to continue with what you were saying?
I was gonna say he didn't have a child. It was more of a. It was just a couple. Yeah, he was in a parental position when he was um dating his girlfriend, but he wasn't. He didn't actually have a daughter.
Yeah, well, I feel like he was charming, and hopefully he was kind to the child. So how have you guys gone about preparing for interviews? Are you guys currently ready to start interviewing? Are you guys already interviewed? Have you guys gotten hired? Like, what are your thoughts about this process? Bella, do you want to go and talk about yours and how you just went through an interview?
Sorry, I'm still taking attendance. Give me 1 second. Can you repeat that question? Sorry, I'm multitasking.
Can you tell us about your current interview experience and how the police officer or the police department went about how to, I guess, like how to assess your cultural fit and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't give that much information on, the police stuff just because it's still happening. I've only done really one interview with Atlanta Police. I'll have another one this week. But basically, it was just kind of an entry interview so far that what I've had. So it was a physical. So I had to do like an obstacle course in under, 2 minutes. And then after that, it was just a quick little interview of, to see if all the information that I filled out about me, am I a felon? What have I done? Have I sped? All the stuff that I've written on paper, is it actually correct? And then they're doing a background process on me right as we speak. Giving information to my coworkers and my friends and verifying who I am and who I am as a person and my personality and my work ethic. And then if they like me, then they'll go through and I'll have to do another physical. And then I'll have to also do another psychological exam and a whole bunch of other different exams to verify that I would be a good candidate. And then I would have to be trained to be a police officer in order to be a police officer. So that's my process right now.
That's definitely intense.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but I'm sure you're going to pass and everything will go well for you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's a lot of assessments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're here for you if you ever need encouragement or some support during that process.
Thank you.
Yes. And we're going to be ending this workshop soon. I just wanted to see if Jessica would like to mention anything. I know you've just joined us. We will be sending out the recording soon. So you can look at the workshop and what was talked about. But do you have any comments about the preparation for interviews?
I'm sorry, the only thing is since I'm late, I wasn't sure what y'all had already discussed to have any questions about it. Was there anything that was discussed as far as cover letters and resumes, and is there anything important about adding, I don't know, accomplishments that you had during school? Is that something that would be considered important to employers to put on your resume, or would you say just make sure to keep it more focused on just your experience?
That's a tricky question. What type of accomplishments are you referring to?
I know I remember in undergrad how there was all these different clubs that you participate in, and organizations that you would get involved in, and and then when you get into grad, there are still some certain organizations and clubs that you can get into. So, or how they'll say, make sure, even with your, say your capstone, how they'll suggest about you getting involved with
Okay.
focuses on what you're going to school for. So you'll, get involved in the, in the community, or and certain ways to, volunteer, or networking and stuff like that. And then you may, begin to be part of those different things over time from frequently be participating with them, or and working with them. Would that be things that you consider important to add to a resume or a cover letter, or is that just?
Yeah, so Jessica, what I would do, what I did personally, is since I was involved in organizations, student orgs during my undergrad and graduate school, I put in at the bottom of my resume extracurricular activities, and I list what I was involved in. And I just list the title that I had. So president of the Association of Graduate Students, student government senator, those big important titles, just so they can see that, oh, Emily did this work experience and accomplished her master's degree whilst you're participating in bettering the community and organizations that she was a part of. And if you would like to, I can send you my resume just so you can kind of see how I formatted it, just for your help.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, and then I seen that Ellen just joined us. So Ellen, we are currently ending the workshop, but you're going to receive a recording of the workshop for you to review. So let us know if you have any questions about the interview process. And right now I'm currently going to be sending out my resume to Jessica and Emily, just so they can look at and see. So let us know if you have any questions, Ellen.
With the interviews, apparently I haven't had one yet. Can you hear me?
Yes, could you repeat? You only had one interview?
No, I haven't had any yet. None.
Okay, that's okay. I heard, I've known you. I've heard that you got your graduate assistantship, which is great. When you prepare to start interviewing once you're about to graduate, you're going to want to make sure that your resume reflects your current experience that you're going to be gaining in your graduate assistantship and other prior experiences. I would encourage you to go to the career opportunities that is at our college. They will look at your resume and make sure everything looks great. And also they will allow you to schedule some mock interviews with them to help practice answering those questions that the selections team is going to be asking you during the interview.
Okay. Okay. So who is going to interview us? Or we are looking at prospective interviews that will be upcoming?
That's going to be based on positions that you will be applying to in the future. So
Okay.
you will be deciding this for yourself.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for participating. I'll be sending Emily, Norton, and Jessica Homer my resume. Please let me know if anyone else would like to see it as well.
I have a real quick question. The person that says Emily, in parentheses, guest, what is your last name so I can log you in for attendance?
Norton.
Okay, so you're listed twice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, perfect. I already logged you in. All right, never mind.
Sorry, I had another meeting as well, and everything is just backed up.
It's okay. Thank you guys for joining us. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.